Many people believe Brazil's history began in 1500 with the Portuguese invasion of indigenous lands, but it actually extends far beyond that. Humans began inhabiting the territory we know today many millennia ago. After extensive study, scientists reconstructed the face of one of Brazil's earliest inhabitants, named Zuzu, whose remains were found in 1997 in Serra da Capivara National Park in Piauí's Caatinga heartland. Zuzu's skull, discovered in the park, was later exhibited in its museum. Researchers determined she was approximately 40 years old and of Asian descent after careful analysis. Designer Cícero Moraes specialized in reconstructing her face. It's believed that before Zuzu, many individuals migrated from Mongolia to the Americas, possibly ancestors of Brazil's first inhabitants. Despite various hypotheses suggesting human presence dating back 60,000 years, much of this ancient history remains lost. What's certain is Brazil's story didn't commence with the Portuguese. Before their arrival, indigenous peoples, notably the Tupi-Guarani, expanded across the land, dominating regions and settling almost the entire coastline. The Portuguese arrival is a familiar tale. On April 22, 1500, Pedro Álvares Cabral stumbled upon Tupi lands by chance during a storm. While he's often credited as the first European to arrive, other accounts mention earlier expeditions by Amerigo Vespucci in 1499 or the Spaniards Vicente Pinzon and Diego de Lepe in 1500. Officially, Portuguese colonization began with Cabral's arrival, marking Brazil's pre-colonial era. Over the next 3 decades, Portugal exploited Brazil wood, initially for dye production, a minor part of its commerce. Colonial period. The initial decades lacked a coherent colonization strategy until external threats prompted Portugal to establish hereditary captaincies in 1534. Martim Afonso de Souza led efforts to combat French incursions, establish coastal settlements, and seek precious metals. This period shifted focus from Brazil wood to sugarcane cultivation, with São Vicente, now São Paulo, thriving while other captaincies faltered. Portugal later implemented a general government to manage the colony, combating indigenous uprisings and foreign threats, such as France's Maranhão ambitions in the 1590s. In the late 17th century, Portugal turned to gold expeditions, launching bandeiras into interior regions like Mato Grosso, Goiás, and Minas Gerais. These expeditions enslaved indigenous peoples and discovered valuable mineral deposits, stimulating economic growth despite conflicts and revolts. Imperial period. The Portuguese royal family's flight to Brazil in 1808 transformed it into the Kingdom of Portugal, Brazil, and the Algarves, with Rio de Janeiro as the capital. This marked the end of colonial rule and the onset of the imperial era. Over the next 6 decades, Brazil saw rule under Dom Pedro I and Dom Pedro II, marked by reforms, wars, and economic shifts. Dom Pedro advocated Enlightenment ideals, fostering liberal ideas and overseeing Brazil's constitutional monarchy in 1824. Political instability characterized the Regency period following his abdication and the ascent of his son, Dom Pedro II, at 14. His second reign stabilized Brazil politically, balanced power between liberals and conservatives, and saw economic shifts like the coffee industry's rise. The abolitionist movement gained momentum, culminating in the 1888 abolition of slavery, but political turmoil and economic challenges weakened Dom Pedro II's reign. A military coup in 1889 ended the monarchy, establishing Brazil as a republic. Since then, Brazil has experienced various phases, including the Old Republic, Vargas era, military rule, and the New Republic, undergoing significant political, social, and economic transformations. Goodbye for now.